Hello and welcome to another edition of the E-commerce Odyssey podcast. I'm here with Kelsey Johnson from aWeber, and we're going to talk about how to use email to drive customers back to your store. So first, Kelsey, what kind of customers does email marketing work best for? What kind of merchants?
So we generally say that email marketing works for everybody, or at least you should definitely try it for everybody. Email marketing, if you think about the flow, you have a lot of marketing efforts, whether it's ads, whether it's social media, whether it's even just having a storefront that brings people into your business in the first place. And email marketing is one of those wonderful things that actually drives more repeat business, or it can sort of nurture people who have heard of you, but who haven't purchased from you yet, but who maybe have signed up originally for a freebie or for a promo code, and it can result in more people making repeat purchases or making initial purchases when they heard from your business in the first place.
Okay, so do people still, I use email, I'm guessing you still emails, but the wider public, do they still use email?
Yeah, but it has changed a little bit. I would say the wider public uses email more than any other platform because everyone's using it for some purpose, whether it's for work, whether it's for, communicating with their families or just getting personalized emails. Now there is, especially if you use Gmail, there's like this promotions tab that a lot of emails end up in, but that doesn't mean that people aren't using email, in their everyday life. Like most people will literally look at their inbox every single day, at least once. And so it's this really great personal way to get into somebody's, in contact with somebody. Now, I'm not talking about like buying a big list and, sending out emails to a bunch of people who don't want to hear from you. So the right way to do email these days is to actually have people opt in to receive emails from you. Have only the people who actually want to hear from you, the people who are actually going to make those additional purchases, the ones on your email list. But once you do have that list, you have that group of people who are your ideal customer or people who have purchased from you before or who are thinking about it, depending on your sales like time frame, then you really should, you should put together that list of people so that they can be, you can be in contact with them in order to make more sales. People are used to making purchases in their inboxes. They're getting more used to it on social media, and obviously people will search out your business store online, but people are very used to making purchases from their inboxes because they're used to getting, promotions and sales from there.
So is this true even for the millennials, those people who like glued to their phones? Are they still using email?
Yeah, millennials are definitely still using email. I think maybe a little bit less of people in the Gen Z, maybe younger than millennials in their early 20s. But what's happening right now in social media is, so everybody, got all excited and built up these great social media platforms, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok, and they're using that to drive more business. But what people are realizing now, and especially with things like TikTok shutting down your account and Facebook and Instagram going down last year, what business owners are starting to realize is that those audiences aren't owned by them. They don't have any control over contact. They can contact those people directly through the platform, but they are subject to the platform's algorithm. They can get shut down at any time at the whim of the platform itself. And their content, their sales, their promotions aren't being sent to every single person every single time. So this is my roundabout way of saying that actually in, the millennial generation and even the younger generations, the business owners are starting to drive more people to email by saying, listen, if something happens, I want to be able to get into contact with you, sign up for my email list. Or, they're themselves saying like, I want people on my email list so that I can continue to make sales, even if something happens to my social media. So they run these incentivizing campaigns on, say, Instagram or TikTok saying, here's my freebie, like let's say you sell candles. Here, I'll send you a little mini candle and a sticker if you just sign up for my email list. Now that's enough of an incentive for somebody to actually sign up for that list. And then once you're signed up for some of these lists from these stores that you like, even in the sort of younger generations, then, you are back in the swing of getting used to making purchases and going into your inbox and checking your email.
So what kind of percentage of sales would you think is a healthy amount to get from email if you're an average e-commerce business?
I can't speak directly to that. I would say that, maybe like they say that the 60% of your sales come from repeat business. Now, you and I talked before the podcast recording about your business and how that's not particularly true for your business model. So I think it depends on your business model and the type of customers you have. But the fact of the matter is you are far more likely to make a sale to somebody who has already purchased from you because they know who you are, they know the quality of what they're getting, they know how fast, especially in e-commerce, they know how fast it's going to get to you, they can sort of trust your business. And they, this overcoming this trust of buying from somebody new is far more difficult in the human psyche than, okay, I already trust this business, I'm going to make more purchases from them. So in terms of your overall income, your overall revenue coming in from email, I think it just depends on your email efforts and your, how much other ads you're running or how you're bringing in other business. But, that's sort of 60% of your business coming from repeat business is certainly something to think about. Okay. Another thing to think about is the price of email marketing. If you compare it to running ads on literally any platform, it's just, pennies on the dollar. So you're talking about having an email marketing platform, you have to either use your time or hire somebody to set up a flow where you're getting people either from your social media platforms, like we just talked about, or from your sales that just happened, setting up automations to get those people added into your email marketing platform, and then either setting up automations inside your platform or sending, regular emails out to them, whether it's sales emails or discounts or anything like that. But so that we're talking time, but the cost of email marketing platforms themselves is very, very low relative to the cost of running ads and trying to bring in repeat or new and repeat business that way.
Okay, so I think it's a good time to move on to the next question. Is what are the steps that you would take to run a successful email marketing campaign? From imagine I know nothing about email marketing.
Well, first you need a tool. So I would say, sign up for an email marketing tool. Test some of them out, make sure that it's affordable and it's, at least got the basics and is kind of easy to use.
So what are the basics?
So the basics are, subscriber list, email automation. So you don't have to know what email automation is, but make sure that it's included in the platform because it makes your life a lot easier. I would say a platform that does a decent amount of reporting and split testing so that later on down the line, you can test things against each other. And then basically every email platform these days, all of them are going to have sign-up forms, but all of them are going to have landing page builders too. And you want a landing page builder because it just makes getting those signups easier. You don't have to think about your website as much and you can really, figure out that platform. So, and then one other thing that we always like to talk about at aWeber is support. No matter how much you know about everything and all the documentation you read and everything that, all the YouTube videos that you watch, when it comes down to it, putting together technology, you can still just be like, I just want it to do this one thing and I don't know how to do it and I don't want to read any more pages. So make sure you've got a good support team that you can actually reach out to who knows what they're talking about. So yeah, so you get your platform set up, and then particularly for the listeners of this podcast who are running e-commerce stores, I would say one of the best things to do first, other than if you already have some sort of existing list, have a team migrate that into your account. There's a special way you need to do that based off of how you've been contacting them in the past. You have to make sure, if you haven't emailed somebody for 2 years and then you email them out of the blue, you can sort of ruin your reputation online. So that's another thing that
so keep your list current is what you're saying.
Yeah. But one of the first things that I would recommend you do is set up an integration. Now, an integration, it's kind of, I'm sure everybody's sort of heard of what this is, but the way that it works with an email marketing platform is, let's say you have a Shopify store and somebody makes a purchase from that store, or, you want to sign them up for your freebie. You want to make sure that that person is automatically added to your email marketing tool. You do not want to have to go into your Shopify store. I've worked in Shopify stores in the past through my career of consulting and stuff. And the thought of trying to go in there and pull a list of your recent purchasers out and download and upload, absolutely not. So the first thing I would do is set up that integration so that anybody starting now going forward who makes a purchase from your store is automatically added to your email marketing tool. Now, you'll want to make sure that those people are what we call opted in. So you can automatically add them to your email marketing tool, but you need to then immediately send them an email saying, you have been added to this list. Like, click here to continue to receive our
So you wouldn't
emails.
in the checkout, have the box pre-ticked. Would that be bad practice?
No, you can have a box pre-ticked too, or you can have a box for them to tick to be automatically added in. But we still recommend that you send an email asking them to opt in to your list. It's just the people who want to opt into your list are going to be the ones who purchase from you anyway. There's so many people who get caught up on how big their list is, but when it comes down to it, you really need to think about the sales you're making. So you want the best customers in that list, not just the most customers. And that can also, improve what we call deliverability, right? Your Google, Gmail, and Outlook and all of those look at how many emails you send and how many get opened. And if you have a bigger number that get opened, they're more incentivized to, put those emails into the actual inbox instead of the promotions tab, or, not send you to spam and stuff like that. So it's not too difficult, but I just always recommend that people, really feel like they are sending emails to the right people, not just
quality over
people.
Quantity.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. So we've got our integration set up. We've got our opt-in email set up. And up next, what I would do is put a sign-up form on your site. Now, I think the best way to do this in order to actually grow your list and actually make more sales from it is to put a pop-up form on your website, maybe 5 seconds after somebody lands on your website, and offer them a discount. So there's 2 things that this discount does. The first thing it does is it makes it so that, you say, hey, enter your email to get the discount, and they have to actually opt in to get the discount. They have to click the subscribe to this list in order to get that discount code. So you are making sure you get an actual subscriber that way. The second thing it does is it makes them want to make that purchase that day. You could say set your discount code to only, auto create one, and then set it to only work for 24 hours or something, or only work for the next 2 hours or something like that. And that way you can make that first sale. And, there's definitely, like, you're giving away something at that point, right? And you want to make sure that you're not devaluing your product too much, or, you want to actually make a profit. So take that into consideration when you give away that discount code. But it can be a really great way and a very easy way to grow your list just from the traffic that's reaching.
But if you, in my experience, I'd be worried doing that, because we tried that on our site, and I found that basically it felt to me very much like we were giving money. People were only signing up to get the discount. We never heard from them again, or they weren't responding to any emails after that, and they probably would have made the purchase anyway. So how can you, work out whether you're actually you're getting value above and beyond that?
Well, the first thing I would do is test the price point of the discount itself. So if you did a 20% discount, you might want to try to lower it to a 10% discount or even a 5% discount, which is basically, tax. It's not a huge discount, but it's still incentivizing.
Mm-hmm.
It still gets people excited about that, and see at what point people are actually not making more purchases or not even signing up for the list, right? Test it maybe for a month, or depending on your traffic and how many people are making sales. And then the next thing I would do is I would set up an automated welcome campaign for the people who get that discount code, because another thing that's really great about email is the most excited somebody is about your business is right after they make that first purchase. So you can actually set up automations after that to tell them about your other really popular products, or try to get them opted into your social media, or, just create bundles or something like that, where you are really, really pitching this person a lot in that first 5 days, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
And test that out as well. See which ones of those emails are actually enticing people to not just make that first purchase at that sale price, but make further purchases. And you can track all of the purchases that they're making in the email marketing platform itself.
Mm-hmm.
Another thing I really like about setting up that sort of automation right after somebody gets signed up is that you can set it and forget it. So even if, like you said, I know that you've struggled with email in your business, and you told me that, quite frankly, it just didn't work for you. Even if that's true, you can still get those touch points. You can still get that sort of brand awareness, so that they at least see your emails over the next 5 days, and you're not doing any additional work. You already set it up. All you have to do is maybe check it once a quarter to make sure the products are still there, to make sure that things are still relevant. And but you can drive, even if you're driving only like a couple of additional purchases, it's worth the price because you've already set it up, and the cost of the email software itself is quite low.
Mm-hmm. So what would you say? Okay, so what tips do you have for building a list?
So I would do the automation. I would do the pop-up form for your list. I would make sure that list building is a part of your social strategy. And that can be as simple as, if you have a link tree, or if you have a landing page in your social platform, make sure that there's both a place for somebody to sign up for your list there, an incentive for them to. With e-commerce, a lot of times that is that freebie, it's that little giveaway, but that thing can be pretty small, like I said, just that sample size of the candle has incentivized me in the past to sign up for that. And then if you have a really engaged audience, you've got a really niche product, something that people are very engaging with a lot of your content on social media in a repeat way, you can actually just incentivize somebody to sign up by saying, we want you to be able to hear from us in case something happens. We want to be able to get in touch with you with, we run sales, but they're really limited time. So what if you're not on social media for that time? We want to make sure that you can get that sale in your inbox. And so sort of use that way to incentivize people to sign up for your list. But I think, that's basically it. It's with e-commerce, you want to make sure, you're getting people signed up for your list right when they're on your site. You get them signed up for your list from social media, and you've got that integration set up so that people who have already purchased from you are being added. But obviously you don't want to push too much for people signing up for an email list when what you're really pushing for is the sale of your products, right?
Okay. So what automations? Okay, so we've got the integration done. We've got the collection of the emails is going. What automations would you recommend?
So in addition to the automation, right when you first sign somebody up, right? Send them that.
So tell us about that. So how would you structure like a welcome series?
I would say, I would send, actually what I would do for a business like an e-commerce store is I would send a different popular product every single day for 5 days, or depending on your inventory, send something to the person who just signed up. That's like, people who bought, we've seen this, people who bought what you purchased might like this, or this is the most popular thing in our store. And then I would add some social proof under it, right? Somebody like a comment from social media, or a review that you got, or a testimonial just saying like in the case of your store, like, oh, I got this for my friend, and her baby loved it, or her toddler loved it, or this is so much nicer than the stuff that I've gotten from big box stores, or anything like that. Like, create excitement for each new product with the testimonial underneath it. There's something so cool about being a small business in e-commerce, that the products themselves are actually exciting for people to hear about. People want to hear about those additional products. So I would build that out 5 days to start. And then, you can keep adding maybe like a week after, if you've got tons of products. And you can do that, set it up so that every week ongoing, people are just hearing about something new, and you turn it into like a featured Friday or something, check out.
So you would send everyone like a week. So you'd have like a welcome series of 5 products, and then you would send everyone in your list a product every week, saying, like an ongoing email to everyone in your list, or?
Absolutely. Yeah. Unless you have a huge turnover in products, in which case you might want to do more of a manual send. But if you've got a lot of inventory that's largely popular and that you sell a lot of, I would just set that up as an automation on a weekly basis.
Just to send everyone on your list a good this week's product.
Yeah. Yep, absolutely. And then what you can dive into more, we're talking on sort of a beginner level, but if you want to get a bit more sophisticated with it, you can add personalization to that. Now, personalization is this hugely popular thing in 2022, especially for smaller businesses, because it's becoming more available, but it doesn't have to be super complicated. So let's go back to the example of your store, right? You've got, you sell things for babies, and then
kids,
probably for
preschool,
toddlers,
stuff like that. Yeah.
So you could categorize all of your products according to maybe an age range. Now, the person who bought for that age range is probably more likely to buy again for that age range, right? Whether it's for their own kid or for a gift, but the kid that they bought it for is not going to change age ranges super quickly, And so what you can do is basically that subscriber, that person that's in your email list, you can give them a tag, which is a very simple way to do it, but you can do it, automatically according to the product. You give them a tag, you say, this person, has a newborn, or this person has these age ranges that they've purchased for in the past. And you can cater those emails specifically to that age range. And what you could even do, this is a very specific case, but what you could do is, cater it to that age range. And then in about like a year or two, if they're still receiving your emails, change, move those people, have them wait 2 years, and then give them a new tag, because that kid's probably older. Now, this is stuff that seems like it's super complicated, but it can be done by like totally untech savvy people. If you think like, well, I started a store just to start a store, and now I have to learn all of this digital marketing stuff. It's not that complicated to do with the platforms that are being built for small businesses now.
Yeah.
And so, that is one of the ways in which, if you're just sending the same things out to everybody and you're not seeing that great of results, you can try to piece out some of these personalization things, maybe even a gender. I know that I'm not sure if gender applies that much to kids anymore. I don't have kids. When I was a kid, they did.
I think it's oppressive.
Yeah, but you could do something like that. And it's not a surefire way. You're not putting people into rigid categories. You're more just generalizing the way that you personalize the emails that you send to them. Now, I want to talk about another automation that we absolutely need to get set up, and that is a abandoned cart automation. So that is, as everyone probably knows, the email that you send out if somebody puts something in their cart, but then they don't make a purchase. Now, if you use a platform like Shopify, I would set that up in Shopify itself. I don't think you need an additional abandoned cart platform to send that out, but you can too. The difference would be the Shopify emails that go out tend to be not super branded. They're a little bit more transactional. And if you want to make this, really pretty and add a bunch of other stuff onto it, then you could do that too, where, the person is added into your email marketing tool from putting it into their cart, and then they're sent an email saying, what happened? The normal stuff. I mean, people are used to getting abandoned cart emails. They know they're automated.
I'll tell you the situation with Shopify. I mean, Shopify, you can do an abandoned cart email. You can brand it. The issue you have is you can't do a flow. You can only send one email. Whereas if you use a tool, then you can do a flow. So you can't, for example, say you left something in your cart and then a second email saying, how about you get a discount? You have to do it all in the first email, which is, would you recommend doing a kind of a flow, or would you recommend, and also do you recommend doing a discount in a abandoned cart email?
I don't recommend the discount. And I am not an e-commerce expert, so you might disagree with me on this. But I think that it devalues your product. If somebody, the first, when they try to make a purchase and then they get a discount later on, they're going to think, well, why would I have purchased it at the original price? Now that I think that the discounts probably work to drive more sales. So it depends on, what you're sort of thinking in terms of the way that you want to run your business. But if it was my business, I wouldn't do the discount.
Yeah, I mean, I'd obviously rather not give discounts, but I found with abandoned cart emails, the difference in performance, if you had a discount and if you don't have a discount, you get a lot more conversions, like 5 times as many.
And that just proves that you need to test for your own audience. Another thing, that's really true about all marketing, but email marketing specifically too, is it's different for every small business. Your audience, your customer base, the way that they interact with your business, the way that they care about the products that they're buying are all different. And so if you do test out the discount and, like you said, you tend to have less repeat business anyway. So maybe that discount was, really valuable to at least make that initial sale. But again, I stand by what I say. I don't think that I would.
It's different horses for courses. So okay, so what other? So you've got
and then I do want to answer your first question.
Yeah, sorry.
Which is, would you do a flow or would you just do an initial email? And my answer to that is get something up now. So if you aren't doing this yet, use Shopify or whatever tool that actually you can send those emails out through to get that set up initially. And then if you get, if you're starting to set up your email marketing as it is anyway, you prioritize doing that flow as well. Because you're right that, multiple emails are more likely to make their way to the inbox and, resonate with somebody and remind them to make that purchase inevitably.
Okay. So so you've got the welcome flow. You've got the abandoned cart. What other flows would you recommend?
I don't recommend too many more. What I would say is, especially, for an e-commerce business, sometimes I recommend different ones for more like service-based businesses, but I would set up a birthday automation. People tend to treat themselves a little bit more on their birthday. You can give them small discounts or freebies, or just say happy birthday. And, it's one of those things that you can use to remind somebody about your business, give them an additional touch point, remind them that they bought from you or heard of you before, signed up for your list around their birthday, and make it a really positive thing. And, then you can also potentially make more sales from that as well. In addition to that, at getting started, I would say that those are the main automations that you should set up. And then you should start to prioritize sending, one-off emails, what we call it aWeber broadcast, but basically just a blast where you send emails to your whole list. So
one question, what would you, what about a customer win back email? Would you recommend that?
A customer win back email? I mean, I don't know if I don't know if I know what a customer win back
Well,
email
just like, they
looks
haven't bought from
like.
you in 30 days or 60 days. You send an automation after 30 days saying, we've missed you, come back.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think,
It's quite
yeah,
common.
I haven't thought about that too much in terms of e-commerce, but yeah, that sounds like a great idea too.
Okay. So what would you recommend in terms of moving on to, doing broadcasts? How would you, as it for e-commerce businesses, what would you recommend? How would they create the most successful broadcast emails?
I would say the what you want to prioritize when it comes to broadcasts for e-commerce, and this depends, but largely is design. There are lots of types of emails that don't need design or plain text works better, especially in B2B. But for an e-commerce business, people really want to see pictures of your products. They want to see new products. They want to see things grouped together. So another thing that I would recommend is even if you have, new things that you're excited about and that you want to sell, certainly this is what's new broadcast. It can be very useful, but also sending out, here are all of the things in this category, and maybe even doing that in a personalized way too. It might not be something new to your store, but it could be something that, if you bought this one thing, you might like these other, 3 additional things, or you can buy all of these things and they're for a kid this age, or these are all of the things in the color blue. Like there's a lot of ways where you can group things together, and if you make your broadcasts more specific, then you can write more specific subject lines, and those specific subject lines get opened more often. Now,
Okay.
obviously, the broadcasts that both get opened the most and make the most money are those discount broadcasts as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, from time to time, if you're running a sale, which, I think everybody does, make sure that you're sending out specific broadcasts for those sales and sending out a few of them, right? This is coming up. This is happening today only. You've got 6 hours left. You've got 2 hours left, and making sure that you're getting the most attention from that, sale that you're running, whether it's Black Friday, whether it's, summer or school or something like that. So those are the ones that, you're just going to make the most money
So you
from.
wouldn't you wouldn't recommend like a blanket, how would you recommend segmenting up the audience, and would you recommend doing like a blanket, offer 10% of everything? Is that too general?
I think that 10% off everything works. Again, like we mentioned before, it really will depend on your audience. So I've worked as a consultant for a boutique before, and it was like a women's clothing boutique. And the email list that I sent emails to for this woman didn't get out of bed for less than 20%. So if we sent out a 10% discount, people didn't care.
Yeah.
So what we would do is 20% off a particular brand or a particular type of item, 20% off jeans or candles or jewelry or something like that. But it gets people on the store, and they won't necessarily just purchase one thing. But I think it just depends on your audience, trying out some of those blanket discounts, as long as you're still getting a profit from it, is something that you can keep testing. That's another reason why using an email marketing tool that does split testing can be really effective too. So you can send out 2 separate emails to the same audience, and this one is 15% and this one's 10%. And you can actually look at both the open rates, you can look at the click rates, and you can look at the sales that you're making in one go to see, do my repeat customers, are they willing to come back to my store for 10%? Because in the future, then you don't need to worry about giving more away than you need to. Do they, you can run tests with you can do things like custom content in emails as well. So you send the same email with the same discount, but you do within the email, the product is different, or, it's more personalized. So you can sort of test out some of this stuff, but there's really no big blanket rule. You really have to just continue to test your specific audience. Okay. But one thing that's really cool about testing them via email is that you learn more about what your audience is like, how they make purchases, and you can take that and bring it to your other elements of marketing, whether it's, if people care about quality, or if people care about price, or if people, are resonating with your best customers are resonating more with one thing than another, you can bring that to your ad copy for Google, or to your social campaigns, or to a lot of the other marketing that you're doing in order to identify those ideal customers.
Okay. So, we run a Shopify store, right? And in Shopify, there's Shopify email, which is a reasonably slightly, it's a fairly basic email tool, but it does the trick. Would you recommend, why would someone use something like aWeber over, like a tool which comes with a platform?
Well, like you said, it's got that automation available to it. And you can do a lot more testing, you can do a lot more tagging, and the integration is so easy to set up to bring those customers over that it makes it easier to really like make the types of emails that you want to send and do the testing and everything like that. Design can be a lot easier in an email marketing tool. Like I know that you said that you can do branded in the Shopify itself, but there are more capabilities for design in an email marketing tool in terms of like embeddable smart content, and even doing things like RSS feeds. So if you wanted to pull in the RSS feed for your store and create specific automations that pull in your most recent products or something like that, that's something that you can do with a tool like aWeber. And in general, ease of use. And, when you use a tool like an email marketing platform, you also get the resources that tool has to offer. So that support team who can help you create the emails that you want, without having to, obviously Shopify has that too, but it can be a lot more complicated and a lot more difficult to configure those emails in the way that you want them.
Yeah, I mean, certainly with Shopify, I mean, my experience with using other email platforms and also using Shopify. I mean, Shopify is quite cheap to use, but it doesn't have you're right. The email building tool is not that great. You can't generate this kind of personalized content other than very basic things with their name. You can't say other people who bought this.
Yeah, absolutely. And I always recommend that people just start with the Shopify tool. And as soon as it bugs you, then look for something better. And again, the tools that you can use with Shopify, especially if you're starting your list, most email marketing tools have a free version. So you get a lot of those capabilities. You get, the better builder, and you get, personalization and stuff like that you can do that. And it's free to start. So, you might as well use that tool if you need it. And then for me, I'm like, use what you've got first until it's not working as well as you want it to, or it's, bugging you in a certain way. And then, search for those additional tools to make your life easier and make your emails better. And just take a look at your ROI, make sure that when you're sending those emails, at least the purchases that are being made from those, the sales that are being made for those, you're getting the return on your investment when it comes to paying for that additional tool.
Okay. So I know that I'm a big fan of marketplaces. So I love eBay, I love Amazon, but it's difficult on marketplace because you don't own the customer. So you don't generally have their email address. So I know you can't do email marketing to Amazon customers. You can't do it to eBay customers anymore. What about Etsy? Do you know much about that?
Yeah, so Etsy, you can do email marketing to your Etsy customers. Etsy sellers, we work with a lot of them at aWeber, and they get really scared because Etsy is very quick to pull the plug and shut down your store or give you a warning or something like that. But it comes down to the way in which you do it. So you cannot take away a sale from Etsy and, and make like basically start the sale on Etsy and then take the customer somewhere else. That's totally illegal. You'll get shut down for that. But what you can do is once somebody makes a purchase from your store, you can set up an integration with a tool like aWeber so that person is sent to your aWeber list. Now, it is absolutely necessary, not just an option, for you to send that additional email we talked about, that opt-in email saying, we've added you to, we'd like to add you to our list. Here's what you're going to get. We promise not to blah, blah, blah. Hit subscribe here. And so you can get people opted into your list a little bit easier, that way. And Etsy actually doesn't mind that, because then what you do once the person has agreed to be added to your list, you're sending them emails with more Etsy listings, right? And so at least with the aWeber integration with Etsy, you can also pull your products into the emails dynamically. So you just, choose a product, put it into the email, say, this is what's new. This is, try out this thing. You can set up like automated emails to go out each week with whatever your newest products are, or each month, depending on how often you put that stuff up. And then, Etsy doesn't care, because you're sending them back to make more purchases on your Etsy store.
Do you get the actual email address, or is it a cloaked email address?
You get the actual email address.
So what's to stop you getting an email from Etsy and then sending them to your Shopify store?
I don't think that there is anything to stop you from doing that, except that Etsy, and I don't know exactly the way they do this, but Etsy has the tendency to figure that stuff out. And so Etsy sellers tend to be super nervous anyway. But to be perfectly honest, I don't think that I have read through their terms of service multiple times, and there actually aren't any rules against, you bringing in somebody through an integration. They opt in, they have to opt into your list, and then you sending them to your Shopify store.
So
I just know that,
careful.
Yeah, it's such a useful discovery tool for so many Etsy sellers that I think people are just sort of like, like they deal with what they have to with the Etsy marketplace. I mean, it could be worse. It could be Amazon, where they're not allowed to do that at all. Or like you said, eBay.
Yeah, you used to be able to do it with eBay. Well, you used to be able to get their email addresses. You could never get them to opt in. That was anyway. It
certainly is a struggle. But again, a couple of really good customers who do opt into your list can, especially if they're repeat customers, especially if they have high budgets for the stuff that you sell, or they become people who refer your business to their friends or tell people about you. That's why I talk about quality instead of quantity. You can get kind of down about the fact that nobody's opting into your email, but even if it is like 10%, 15% of the people who you're adding to your list, those are the people who really like you. Those are the people who want to hear about your new products and are probably going to make those repeat purchases. And, just a few people and just the right people can really drive those additional sales.
Okay. So now I'm just going to be a bit selfish. I'm going to ask you about what you think. We talked about this already. What do you think we should do for my business? Because we have tried emails lots of different ways. We have used Klaviyo. We've done kind of welcome series. We did the sign up to build a list. We did like a sign up 10% off, and it just seemed that people joined to get the 10% off, and then they joined the welcome series. And then when we emailed them again, we didn't get any discount. We didn't get any sales. We did a customer win back series. We had an abandoned cart email, but that did work quite well, though perhaps not as well as it should have done. And we did various kind of campaigns which got very limited sales. I don't know whether that's because I think it's because people who buying kids stuff aren't buying it for themselves, and therefore they're not, it's not a hobby or something that they're looking to buy products for.
They're not necessarily.
How do you think so?
Customers.
I don't know. It's not for any lack of trying. Have you got any bright ideas what we could do?
I do have one idea, and I am one that's very willing to admit that sometimes email might just not work for certain businesses. And as long as you've tried,
We've tried.
But one thing that is working really well in email and in marketing in general right now is a more education and almost community building. So if somebody is buying, kids stuff, but they're not necessarily buying them for themselves, what you could do is send out emails rather than entirely purchase-based emails or product-based emails. You could try to grow your brand via email with things like, here is trends in buying, say, wooden toys for toddlers. Here's a almost like a blog post or just all the education within the email about what 8-year-old girls' favorite toys are. Send those kinds of things out, especially leading up to Christmas, or just on a sort of regular cadence. Send out kind of a newsletter that is less product focused and more education focused, so that what you're doing is actually telling people what kinds of products they should be buying in general, but they are hearing it from you. They're probably clicking on the emails more often because they like the education. And one of the examples that I think of for this is my vet sends me emails all the time that are like, my dog's name is Jetta, and they'll be like, what is Jetta, what do you think? Do you think Jetta might need to have her teeth cleaned? Or what if Jetta eats a grape? What should you do? And obviously dog owners are so involved in their dogs, but like, I like the idea of that sort of education piece where you're building up. It might not be that immediate sale that you're making, but you're building up the community, you're building up the trust in your brand, and people are going to be more likely once they want to make that purchase of that wooden toy, of that 8-year-old girl toy, to come back to your business specifically for it.
Okay, that sounds like we might even try that. That sounds like a good idea. So okay, been great advice on email. I'm going to ask you a bit left field question here. I like to ask a kind of fluffy question at the end. What has inspired you recently? Anything? It could be a book, could be a film, could be anything.
Well, I've got a twofold answer for you.
Excellent.
I have been incredibly inspired recently by a sort of area of TikTok called Book Talk. Now, my degree is originally in English literature, and so I'm a big reader. But there is a whole group of people on TikTok who have found each other, who are just recommending books to each other. And I absolutely love it. I've been buying tons of books. And so if you're a bookseller, make sure you're on TikTok, get on there, start talking about your book. And I got into a book called Mistborn by Brian Sanderson. He's kind of a popular sci-fi fantasy author. And he wrote this book years ago, but I only just heard about it and I absolutely love it. I just finished it and I'm reading the second one now. So that's been making me really happy.
Miss as in Misborn.
Mistborn, like
Mistborn,
the mists,
mist, okay,
like fog.
Right, okay.
And it's just lovely. It's well written. I do like that sort of sci-fi fantasy. It's taking me out of, some of the difficult stuff happening in the world right now. And I'm enjoying the escapism, but I also, my heart goes out to Book Talk for introducing me to this author.
Book Talk, okay, I'll give it a go. Great. Lovely to speak to you. Thanks so much for sharing your email tips.
Yeah, thanks for having me on.
Okay, bye-bye.